worked with almost everyone, like all the names that you can think of in Bollywood.
I worked with Aishwarya first, and then Sonam, and then Lolo, and Bebo, and Katrina. I was super young. I was in my early 20s when I started working with all of them. Then, of course, I started working with Sridevi. When I met her, I was like, I can't believe I'm meeting Chandni. You know what I mean? To me, it was like I'm styling her. Like, I mean, it's just like pinch me moment. I started working on a movie called Aisha, and Tanya Ghavri, who was my mentor today, one of my closest friends, she was the stylist on Aisha, and I was assisting her. After Aisha, I started styling Sonam personally for stuff.
Any wardrobe malfunctions that you have witnessed in the 17 years of your career?
I remember Katrina, I was styling her for something, and it was a black gown, and it was like one of those corseted gowns, and she was leaving for the event, and we zipped her up, and the whole zip snapped, and she had literally had to leave for the red carpet because she was winning an award. And we had to, with a horseshoe needle, 3 people had to hold her and we'd stitch her into the gown.
Has there been a time where you felt that, okay, my ego is coming in my way? Because as humans, sometimes we might think highly of ourselves.
There have been times where I've taken up 2-3 shoots at the same time, and I'm like, I can do it. Now, instead of having 1 happy client, I have 2 anxious or 3 anxious, unhappy clients. What's the point of that?
What are the kind of paychecks that as a stylist you get offered?
When you work on an branded campaign, celebrity stylists can go anywhere from...
Given a chance to style Urfi Javed, would you take it up? Have you ever wondered who styles some of the Bollywood's biggest icons that you see in the media? Wondered how much money do they make per day? How do stylists even get opportunities to work with Bollywood celebrities? If you've had all of these questions in your mind, then this interview is for you, as my next guest in this video is one of the most famous celebrity stylists and a name that you probably must have heard of. She is Tanya Ghavri. From getting her first movie break with the film Aisha to getting an opportunity to style Sonam Kapoor in her early 20s to styling celebrities like Kareena Kapoor, Katrina Kaif and even Sridevi, Tanya turned her fashion dream into a successful career in styling where each project gives her at least 2 to 6 lakhs a day. So if you're in your early 20s wanting to build a career in fashion and styling, this interview is the best crash course for you. And if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button as we have some of the most unique conversations with world's sharpest women leaders coming up next on our show. Welcome, Tanya, to our show. I'm so glad you
Thank
made
you
it.
for having me.
You know, I want to first start by asking you, how's my styling today looking like?
I love it. I love a nice placebo top.
You like it?
Yeah, it's
but,
cute.
You know, so many of my colleagues today, they saw me in the morning. They're like, what have you done to yourself? You're looking like a museum piece. So I was like, wait, today I'm anyways interviewing a stylist. I'll ask her how is it.
No, I like it. It's a cute top.
Yeah?
It's got like a very Victorian vibes.
Yeah. They're like, we feel like we've entered in the Bridgerton era looking at you.
Cute.
Thank
Fun.
you. So, you know, I want to first start by asking you about the styling business, how it all works, because you've been in the works for 17 years now.
Yeah, close
and you worked
to.
with almost everyone, like Kareena Kapoor, Katrina Kaif, all the names that you can think of in Bollywood.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. But before that, I want to ask you, how does this business of styling work exactly like? Like, what are different kinds of styling? And who is a stylist? If you have to explain in layman terms to your audience.
You know, actually, it's funny that you're asking me this question. My dad still doesn't understand. And
Really?
I've been around for a long time. I still have to explain it to him. That what is the difference mainly between, in layman's terms, between a designer and a stylist?
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
a lot of people don't know that.
Correct.
Okay. So a designer is someone who is making garments from scratch. Okay. They're actually putting down a design on paper, you know, designing it, doing the pattern making, finding the fabrics, putting a look together. I mean, like actually making the garment,
Correct,
you know,
correct.
constructing the garment. And then obviously, putting in the runway or, or on Instagram or however they decide to sell it, doing a brand campaign and they sell it. What a stylist does is they find pieces that work for the client for a particular event or a particular campaign. We find things from various designers. We find shoes from different designers, accessories. We find hair and makeup references. We put a look together.
Okay.
That's a stylist, So that is mainly what we do. So if you ask me to style you for like 6 episodes, then I will look for things from different brands, accessories from different brands, clothes. We do fittings. We have a rack of clothes which can work for you, for the what's your personality like? So I will have a chat with you. Where are you shooting it? What's the backdrop? A lot of those things. And then put the look together, do a fitting with like multiple looks and then decide what works for you, for the podcast. Depending on the room, everything, lots of different aspects,
But do these designers charge you for giving the dresses, especially for normal people like us? If we work with a stylist like you, will the designers give us also on barter or they will charge us separately?
It depends. Certain designers will give it to you on barter basis. Certain designers will charge you a rent maybe, and certain will be like, no, we don't work like that. You have to buy it. If it's approved, you have to buy it for the particular show or event or whatever. So every designer works differently and they have their own prerequisites to how they work.
Yeah.
So, of course, with celebrities that are walking the red carpets or doing press events for movies and stuff like that, they usually give it on barter basis, which is like the designer will give you the clothes, you do beautiful pictures, you post it on Instagram, you tag them, that's free PR for them, and we send the pieces back in the same condition. Yeah.
If it's not in the same condition,
then it's chargeable,
They charge you for the full dress then?
They will. But so that's where the stylist comes in. We make sure that things are taken care of. We tell our team that you have to treat every piece like it's a piece of art, and it's going to go back to the designer. They've taken so much money and care to make the outfit. So you got to treat it like that as well, know. So it is our personal responsibility, even though the actor is wearing it. After the actor is done, we have to always send it back in the perfect condition. Yeah.
But like you mentioned that, in this kind of a setup, since you talked about what the background is like, what the show features. So now that we are here, for example, if you had to style somebody like me who's doing a podcast in this kind of a setup, because today there are so many podcasters.
Yeah.
How would you go about it? What would you recommend to them?
I think I would take some time to get to know you a little bit, understand what your personality is, because it has to be very authentic to who you are, and what do you stand for, So I think a lot of good, like celebrity stylist combinations come out of knowing each other, understanding each other, who you are and how, what do you stand for, how you should be presented, etc., etc. So I would first have lots of chats with you, try to get to know you a little bit, understand that, and then obviously understand maybe what your podcast is about as well. How serious is it? Is it really going in depth into people's lives and conversations? Because then you can't be style frivolous. You have to be styled very chic, very elegant, and very correct for the platform that you are on, So I think it's a bit of a process. And then obviously finding clothes, putting a deck together, putting a mood board together, and then, finding clothes, depending on your sizing, etc., doing a fitting. So it is a process, you know. That's how it works even when we get actors, when we do events, red carpets, ad campaigns. When it's an ad campaign, it's different, right? Because a brand is coming to you.
How is it like over there?
So how it works is a brand will come to you. Say if it's like, for example, if it's a L'Oreal, or someone like that, then they come to you and they give you a mood board of like how they would want this campaign to be styled. And then a whole team is put together. There are PPM calls where everyone, hair, makeup, stylist, director, DOP, everyone comes together, agency, clients, and they give you a brief on what they want the campaign to look like. A mood board is put together, colors are discussed, everyone needs to be on the same page. There's a lot of back and forth. And then obviously keeping the client or the actor in mind as well. You have to decide what would work for them. Then you source clothes, you make mood boards, you source clothes, you put things together, you do a fitting. Then everyone needs to be on the same page about what's working. The actor has to feel good in it because eventually she has to shoot in it, she or he. And everyone has to like, it has to work, for the campaign. The colors have to work. For ad campaigns, it's a lot about recall value because it's only 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
The ad. That's why a lot of ad campaigns will have the same color on the pack and the same color on the model.
Correct,
have you seen a lot of that happens?
Yeah,
Because it's all related to, like, they've done a lot of statistics and studies. It's all recall value. It's only 30 seconds, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
So can you give me like an example of a brand that you worked with for an ad shoot, and how did you go about it? Maybe you can talk about one of your most difficult shoots that you did with one of the brands for an ad.
I think it was many years ago. And I was actually shooting something else, and I got a call from L'Oreal. I think it was Aishwarya Rai, and literally they were already on shoot, and I don't know what had happened or whatever, but I was called, and it was a 3-day campaign, and I had to go to shoot. And while I was at shoot and they had started to shoot, I had to source clothes while they were at shoot for the next 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was L'Oreal, so it was like, I was very young, I was in my 20s, I was like, oh my God, this is like stressful, and this is like a campaign before Cannes it was releasing or something like that, and it was like a global L'Oreal campaign, so I had to make sure that I got the best, and it was for Aishwarya Rai, so obviously she's a legend, an icon, in this country. So I had to make sure that I was living up to her expectations, the clients, my own, so that was quite challenging, but also interesting.
How did you finally manage to source
I think I always say that I have an amazing team. I've always had an amazing team for like 15 years. And so everything that I've done till today, it's always been teamwork, all the lovely girls that work with me, they're awesome. So yeah, I think it was just about me being at shoot, but I'm sourcing, I'm talking to brands, I'm talking to designers. My girls at the same time are also sourcing, putting the looks together, making sure we have enough options to work with. While we were at shoot, we were doing fittings, so that was quite challenging, but also honestly, that is the
fun of it.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy, right? Yeah.
And was that the first time you worked with Aishwarya Rai?
I worked with Aishwarya since the beginning of my career, actually. Sonam and Aishwarya are like the first two people that I worked with when I first started. I was in my like early 20s.
Okay.
So Sonam was gracious enough to allow me to style her.
How did you get in touch with Sonam Kapoor?
I started working on a movie called Aisha.
Yeah.
And Tanya Ghavri, who was my mentor today, one of my closest friends, she was the stylist on Aisha, and I was assisting her, and Radhika Kapoor was producing the film, and so
but how did you get in touch with Purnia?
Because Ria and my sister are friends. They were assisting on a movie called Wake Up Sid, which is directed by my first cousin Ayan.
Yeah. So
that's how I met Ria.
Okay.
She was super young. She was like early 20s when she produced Aisha, I'm actually older than Ria. So she was very young when she produced Aisha. And, it was really fun because it was literally an almost all girls crew. I think the only boys on the film were like Karan Bulani, who's now Ria's husband, and, Abhay and like Osiris, and we were all friends, and it was like a great big gang of people. And styling was such an important part of that film. So that was my foundation, working with Purnia and Ria and Sonam.
But
and
was that your first gig in styling that you did?
Yeah. Well, before that, I had worked at Vogue, as an intern. So it was just like I was just doing supplementary issues. But that was my first kind of like entering into
Bollywood,
the fashion industry, I would say. And then, of course, I worked with Shiraz Siddiqui, who's a stylist. Mamta Anand, who is now, of course, she is, producing movies and stuff, but she used to style. I had interned with her as well. So I had done a lot of small gigs, but this was my big first, long-term styling opportunity that I had got. And
so
then
Aisha opened the doors for you.
Yeah, and then after Aisha, I started styling Sonam personally for stuff, you know.
Okay.
And then through Sonam, met other actors as well.
But how did you like, start working in the film in a way that Sonam loved you enough to make you her personal stylist?
You know what? That film was very special because we were all working together, working super hard, trying to do something. Because there were so many young people trying to do something really interesting with styling, you know, trying to kind of merge. Before that, it was all very costume driven, you know. But I think this film, we tried to, like Purnia was trying to source like really beautiful vintage pieces. You know, she was trying to source designers in India that were also super happy to dress Sonam because she was such an icon in terms of fashion. So I think we all got very close. And Purnia was from Delhi, so she was doing up and down. So I would be handling a lot of Sonam when I was in Bombay.
Okay.
And we had all gotten very close. And Sonam was like, you know, why don't you style me for my personal events? You know, I end up doing so much, you know. So why don't you style me? And that's how it started.
Okay, so which was one of the most iconic looks that you styled Sonam Kapoor for, which almost went viral as well?
Wow, that's interesting. God, it's so many years
I know,
ago.
I'm taking you back the memory lane, you know.
I think, yeah, I would say not any one particular one, but I think all the Anamika looks that we did with Sonam, it's always iconic because she would always make it special, you know.
The Anamika Khanna?
Anamika Khanna, okay. Yeah. So every look that I did with Anamika and Sonam was always special because then we would use her mom's beautiful jewelry, you know. And it was always such a nice collaboration. And then there was this one particular Gucci look that I had done with Sonam back in the day. It was a beautiful chiffon, long, yellow gown with like a ruffle, you know, addition on the shoulder. It was one of the red carpets. I think that somehow pops in my brain. Yeah.
So that was picked up by the media a lot?
Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, styling was such a different industry at that time because I think there were not as many events as they are today. So what would happen was that because there was not so much, whatever was happening was always kind of like their eyes were out, you know, to see what was going on. And I remember High Heel Confidential had just started. So everyone wanted to know, you know, how they're being reviewed. And I think it was very exciting, you know, at that point.
Yeah. Which were some of those big fashion critiques back then in those days when
I think High Heel, for sure. Pink Villa, High Heel were pretty big, you know, at that time. I think they're still relevant, but at that time, the excitement level was crazy because it was so new, you know, in India.
Yeah. But High Heel is not to be seen anywhere right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're still there and they're still reviewing looks. And of course, you know, in their own way, I still check, you know, to see what's going on. But yeah, I mean, now there are so many more. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But, you know, so you worked with Sonam Kapoor and you said that led you to many more actresses. Which was the, you know, oldest actress that you worked with? I'm sure you worked with Kareena Kapoor also. But is there somebody else also apart from her that you started working with initially?
I worked with Aishwarya first, right? And then Sonam, and then Lolo, and Bebo, and Katrina. And I think those were the first few people that I worked with. Then, of course, I started working with Sridevi.
Okay.
You know,
how did that opportunity come in with Sridevi?
Actually, that came very organically. It wasn't through anybody. They just called me and I was kind of awestruck because my whole childhood was about watching her movies, you know. And I remember my mom tells me the story that I was so obsessed with her. And she had done this film, Nagin, and Nagina, I think it was. She's done 2 films. And when I was a kid, I was so obsessed with her that I would say, I'm not going to go to school if you don't put it on in the morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you had to show it to me for like 15-20 minutes before I went to school. And my mom used to be like, no, you can't watch TV, you know. And I'd be like, no, but I want to watch her. Otherwise, I'm not going to go to school. So it was like, I was a crazy kid. So I remember when I met her, I was like, I can't believe I'm meeting Chandni. You know what I mean? To me, it was like I'm styling her. Like, I mean, it's this like pinch me moment, you know. I remember telling her that also. And she was like the most humble, dignified woman I've ever met in my life, like as an actor. Such an icon, such a legend, but like you would speak so little. She knew exactly what she wanted. Her clarity was next level. There were so many things I learned from her while working with. Learned about styling,
Like what
learned
did you
about
learn from her?
fashion. She's very meticulous. She used to be very particular. She knew exactly what she wanted. Her silhouettes, she was very clear on what she liked, what she didn't like in terms of silhouettes, colors, very appropriate for her age, very appropriate for what the event was, never went overboard, always wanted to stay elegant, was never trying to compete with anyone else. Just clarity about who you are. She had that. And I think clarity makes a massive difference on, when you're collaborating with someone. Because if you have clarity, you can give me clarity.
Exactly. Otherwise, you'll also be confused on what the client wants.
Exactly. So she knew exactly what she wanted. And it was just such a pleasure to work with someone like that, and she would take her time with fittings. It was never hurried. She would give, it was like working. She understood what, she's an artist, right? So she understood other artists.
Correct, correct. Yeah, what does it take?
Yeah, what it takes. It takes patience and love and compassion and a lot of obsession with what you're doing. You know?
Do you think these qualities are a bit lacking in today's Gen Z actors and actresses? The clarity part that you mentioned?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are still finding themselves and they're figuring it out. I wouldn't say it's lacking. I feel like it comes with experience and time sometimes, and it comes with a lot of love for what you're doing. Sometimes you're still finding your way. Sridevi has had so much experience in her life, I mean, I'm just happy that I got to work with her.
Yeah.
When I got to work with her.
Can you recollect one of the memorable styling moments with Sridevi that you had on a project?
Wow, I think I had a few.
Mention them.
I won't remember the name of the designer, but I think I did a beautiful black red carpet. It was a beautiful like ball gown with her. And she was just so iconic, and she knew exactly, like she would never overdo the styling bit. Like she knew exactly, like, and I kind of felt that with her because I'm like that as well. Like I'm very minimalistic. I don't understand too much maximalism with styling. So I got that about her, and she got that about me as well, which is why we ended up working together,
Yeah.
And I don't think there was anyone else who carried saris like her.
Oh, true.
And no one else. And I remember, she would always look at designers. Like I would discover a designer and I would show her, and she would be like, oh my God, this is exactly what I was looking for. So we had that like telepathic thing going on.
Okay.
And I think one or two, I think I remember Ziyad Nakad. It's a Lebanese brand, and I think we worn that brand one or two times when, she was alive, and she loved it, and she was just so beautiful, and like she made everything look so understated and elegant. And I loved that about her, She carried everything with a lot of grace. Even if it's very simple, she knew exactly how to carry it, Yeah.
As a stylist, do you also give training on how to carry a look? Because you might do your best in giving the right clothes.
Yeah, of course. I can,
but
honestly, I feel like carriage is something that's very innate. It's very innate. It's either there or it's not there. How you should wear something, how you should sit in it, how you what's your personality like, how you feel in it. It'll all come across, and camera will catch it in seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But who do you think from the new generation of actresses or actors carries themselves really, really well with grace and elegance?
There are a lot of girls. Recently I feel Ananya is doing a great job.
Yeah.
She's been looking fantastic. She's been looking super elegant, and she's really coming into her own, and she is growing, from a girl to a woman. You can see that transition in her. Of course, I love Kiara because she's like, she's also very dear to me because she's a very close friend, but I really think she has a lot of carriage and a lot of elegance, you know, in the way she is. And and I think Tara, because, you know, Tara has this like beautiful old world charm about her,
Yeah.
you know, and she really knows her style and she sticks with it. You know, she knows exactly what works for her. And I can see the difference between the Tara who was 19 and 20 and today, you know, and I can see that she is growing to her style is evolving. I can see the graph, you know, and I'm working with her right now and I can see it, how we are connecting, because I like the kind of like style that she and me work together very similar, you know, which is very minimalistic, old world silhouettes, you know, and a lot of like monotones. And I mean, that's what I like as well. So, yeah.
But like, you know, given a chance to style people like Urfi Javed, would you take it up?
You know, I think she's phenomenal right now with whatever she's doing. I mean, if something super challenging comes, definitely. But I think she's doing a great job in what herself. Herself. She actually styles herself very like interestingly and comes up with like lots of interesting silhouettes and styles and, you know, the mechanics of her outfit. Yeah. So I think she's killing it herself.
Yeah, that's true. But since you said you are more into minimalism.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of like my energy, you know.
Yeah.
Even like right now with Cannes Film Festival going on, I see something like, of course, Natalie Portman wore this beautiful Dior, you know, piece, which she gets access to the best pieces. And I loved it. It was so beautiful. So there will always be that one-off piece that's like not so minimal, but styled minimal. You know, that's what I like. When I say minimal, I don't mean like the outfit has to be a simple black dress, you know, but it could be styled minimal or it could be styled appropriately, you know. So the whole quiet luxury is kind of like, I don't think it's ever going out of fashion for me personally.
That's true. But you mentioned about access, which is a very important word, and especially in your industry, access to the right kind of brands and designers makes it or breaks it. And you said that you worked with Sridevi on a Lebanese brand as well. And now you said that, you know, some celebrities get access to brands like Dior, Chanel, and they customize the pieces for them. So how do you even reach to that level where you are directly working with these high-end luxury global brands like Dior?
You know, Dior, Elisa, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all the super big brands, they have a list, okay, of actors globally that they put on their roster every year that they want to work with. You got to get on that roster. You know what I mean? The actor needs to get on that roster. So you can be any stylist. Once in a way, because of a stylist relationship with a brand, they might give you something for the actor. But it's very once in a way. The actor has to get on that roster to be able to get dressed by the brand. So a Dior will approve certain people in India. You know, they will only want to dress certain people. And that's just how it is, always been. You have to get on that list, you know, and to get on that list, you have to do your best, you know. You have to do your best in terms of how do you want to image yourself as an actor, how you choose to present yourself, what brands you're doing, you know, how you want to, how are you conducting yourself in interview. It's a lot of things, you know.
But my question is, can normal people also make it to that kind of a list if they're not into acting or...
I mean, today influencers are, you know, I mean, a lot of influencers world over and in India are getting styled by massive luxury brands. And massive luxury brands want to work with them because they are converting, you know. The numbers are showing that today influencers are, if not bigger than actors, or as good as them, you know. At the end of the day, they are influential, you know, that's where it comes from. So today, massive luxury brands are dressing influencers all over the world, you know, not just, I mean, Indian and world over, global influencers. Because they are kind of, like today, if you go to Paris Couture Week or, you know, Milan Fashion Week, the whole front row is full of the biggest influencers in the world and actors and creative people, whether it's stylists or, the super powerful, people in fashion.
Yeah.
So influencers are getting very big today.
But if somebody is not an influencer on social media, but is influential in their industry, do you think they will be able to make a cut in terms of having a business relationship with these kind of brands? Or is it like important to have a social visibility?
I think social visibility is important to brands because how else are they going to get
the
something?
Returns.
Yeah. It's an exchange. It's a business, right? It's a barter. So you have to do something for the brand and then they will do something for you,
Yeah.
So it is a barter at the end of the day. It's a business at the end of the day. Of course, brands would want to get associated with people that are super influential, or super, it may not be in fashion, but usually when they're not in fashion and they're in other industries, they just want to buy the clothes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Like Mona Patel made a statement at Cannes last year, and this year also she was in the news. So I mean, people like her.
She buys everything, I think. I mean, as of what I know,
Yeah.
Of course, I think recently she must be. A lot of designers must want to style her because she puts herself very well together. So a lot of designers are like, okay, we would love to put something on her, or we would like to create something for her. But that's something she's built for herself, Again, she is on social media.
Correct, yeah.
And she is shooting her content so beautifully. Yeah. Like the Thom Browne look that she did for the Met, It was so beautiful, and the mechanics again of the dress was so amazing with the outfit and the way she shot it, the campaign that she shot for it, So I think it's a lot of personal effort and love for what for fashion as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But coming back to your kind of journey, you said that you worked with most of the Kapoors.
Yes.
So can you mention of the incidences as to how did you get an opportunity with them, starting with, Kareena Kapoor Khan? Tell me of the story as to when did you get to first meet her and work on your first project together?
Actually, it's interesting. My first project with Bebo was when Ria and me styled her together, actually, for the Ek Mein aur Ek Tu trailer launch, which is many years ago. I don't remember the year now, but she was wearing this beautiful day dress. I think maybe if I'm not mistaken, then it's Airdem or one of the, UK-based brands. And she looked beautiful, simple, elegant. That was the first time I met her because I was styling Lolo before that.
Okay.
So she probably saw some of the stuff that I've done with Lolo. And then I met Kareena through Lolo and, Sonam and Ria. So Ria and me kind of styled her together.
Okay.
And then I kind of took over from there and started styling her for a lot of other things. And she was just such a breath of fresh air because Bebo walks into a room, she's a star,
the energy is very radiating.
Exactly. So she has so much confidence. She can look at a rack of clothes and she'll know the 2-3 things she wants to, try. She won't try everything. She'll try a couple of things and she knows, and she'll wear it and she'll feel amazing in it and she'll feel super confident and she'll work it. She knows how to work things,
Yeah.
She can work, lots of different, very simple stuff also. And over the years, she must have worn some ridiculous things also that she works, because she just has that aura. She has the star quality that you just cannot take away from her.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you refer to her as the Juliet Roberts of India. Why is that?
I think Bebo is just, she has that quality where, first of all, to be a star, you require something like the je ne sais quoi,
What is that?
Je ne sais quoi is a very peculiar quality about you that only very few people have,
Okay.
She has that. She has that spunk, that spark. The people want to get to know you. They want to know more about you, and you're radiating like a certain energy when you come into a room or when you're coming on screen. She has that. She's not only a good actor, but it's just she comes into a room and everyone wants to chat with her, and she's really funny and she's got so much personality and she's obviously adds to the fact that she's beautiful, and that's what men find also sexy about her, So I feel that it was just, I think it's a mix of all of that. And when I got that opportunity to work with her, I was like, okay, great. I mean, I can't believe I have this canvas of like working with Kareena, know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a mix of all of that with Bebo.
Has there been any time when you gave her something and she chose something out of the wild and you were surprised with the look she created
completely.
herself?
There have been so many times like that, which is like I've done so many like Diwali looks with her, right, over the years, which have become like pieces that we have loved, and those pictures have become like iconic.
Correct.
I would take like all this very heavy, like super ornate pieces that were like couture, etc., etc. But she would choose something super light, but it's archival. So it's like very like, it's like a special piece from like 15, 20, 30 years ago of Tarun that we ended up wearing. Super light. And she was like, Tan, I want to wear, first of all, I'm feeling amazing in it, and I want to wear this because it's archive. And second of all, I want to dance. I want to have fun. It's Diwali. I want to like, I want to let my hair down. I want to have fun tonight. I don't want to be in an outfit that I'm going to be uncomfortable in.
Yeah.
And she just wears it and she works it, and we put one piece of jewelry. She's just, she's in fashion terms royalty,
Yeah. That's true.
That's her carriage, So I think and over the years there have been lots of pieces like that, a very simple black Tom Ford dress with, a gold metallic belt, which was one of the runway pieces.
Okay.
Sleek hair, red lips, like she can just work something very simple but make it look very iconic and very high fashion.
Yeah. Do you also decide like what lipstick color and all?
We always decide. It's all collaboration. Honestly, whenever I've worked with Bebo or any of the other actors that I work with, it's always like, okay, what do you feel? Should we do, what hair do you think we should do? What shoes should we do? What do you think, should we do red lips or should we do eyes? It's always like a discussion with me and her team and hair and makeup. And everyone works together, anyone who tells you that they are deciding everything, I think it's not the right way.
Yeah. But why do you think people need styling personalities in the first place? Why can't they do it themselves? Is it because of the time factor or is there something else also?
I think it's a lot of things. I mean, for actors, a lot of actors buy their own clothes also, like personal stuff, And Kareena, I don't think has ever done, I mean, unless it's a promotion for a film, I don't think she's ever done an airport look. She just buys her clothes, and she loves to buy her clothes. And she loves to enjoy
styling for airport look also.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do, but I don't think she's ever really done it. She just she loves to buy clothes, and she loves to enjoy wearing them and, at airports or holidays or personal events or whatever. But yeah, I feel that it really depends, but I do think that whatever you do, styling is a collaborative thing, It has to be a team coming together, deciding what works the best.
Yeah.
And everyone talking about their expertise, and putting it together. That's when a look really becomes magical.
Yeah. But for somebody, because we have a lot of people who are not celebrities who are watching this, for somebody who doesn't have that much of maybe the budget, how can they style themselves?
I think you need to decide what works. First of all, like figure out what your body type is, And once you figure out what your body type is, then figure what works for your body type, So that's a whole discussion, but a lot of it is available. Like today, you have, you have an AI stylist or ChatGPT, So you figure out what your body type is, figure out what silhouettes work for you. And then, figure out what your budget is, what are the brands that would come into your budget, whether it's high street brands or, today there are so many sustainable, ethically made brands and, that are affordable, So if you're in India, you'll have a list of brands, whether it's men, female or male. And then you have a capsule wardrobe. I've spoken about this earlier. You know, things that every person should have in their wardrobe.
Yeah.
You know, certain kinds of shoes, certain pants, certain separates, a few dresses, you know, maybe, you know, a sari for a girl, you know, a few Indian iconic pieces, nice jewelry. Have a capsule wardrobe and then figure out ways to mix and match within that, you know. Those because sometimes we end up buying things that you're never going to use, you know.
Correct.
So I think sustainability isn't just about working with brands that are sustainably making their clothes. It's also about figuring out using your wardrobe. And if you're not using pieces, I get rid of hundreds of pieces every couple of months from my wardrobe. I will either give it to pre-loved websites or I will donate it to someone who can use it. You know, you cannot just keep buying clothes and, you know, spending stupid amounts of money, you know, just to wear it once. That's really stupid, you know, and that's just like a waste of resources, time, money. So learn how to recycle them. You know?
You've also, you know, worked with Virat and Anushka while you had styled them together.
Yeah,
so
you know,
how did you get that opportunity?
You know, I haven't styled Virat and Anushka together.
Oh, separately?
Yes.
Okay.
Not Virat. I actually haven't ever worked with Virat.
Okay.
I've worked with Anushka a lot. You know. And it was amazing to work with her. I think it was right before she met Virat. You know,
oh, back in like 20.
Back in the day, like after Patiala House and, you know, very initial parts of her career.
Okay.
And she's amazing. Actually, recently I messaged her because we had seen our first Coldplay concert together, you know, in London. So Anushka and me had gone for the first time. We saw Coldplay together. We both cried while we were watching Coldplay.
When was this?
God, 2012, 13 maybe.
Okay.
Many years ago.
Yeah. So did you go for the Coldplay concert in India?
No, I haven't gone for the Coldplay concert in India, but I've watched them twice in UK.
Acha, there only.
Yeah.
Okay, you were done with their doors over there.
Yeah. No, you know, I mean, honestly, it's amazing to always watch Coldplay. Yeah. It's such an emotional experience, but yeah, I watched Dua Lipa this last time when she came to India. But yeah, I haven't watched Coldplay in a while.
Got it. Since we're talking about iconic personalities that you worked with, Katrina is also one of them.
Of course, yeah.
How did you get a chance to work with
awesome.
Katrina Kaif?
I've learned so much along the way with Katrina because she is a perfectionist. Okay. She wants everyone to do their best, you know. She doesn't want everyone to do their best. She wants everyone to do more than their best, you know. Okay. And I love that because she really pushes the envelope for everyone around her, you know. And I think the fact that she is a perfectionist really shows in her career as well, you know.
Yeah.
The fact that she wasn't from India, she came to India and she's made her mark and she's such a huge star and, you know, and now she's become a businesswoman and I love her brand as well and I always tell her that. But she was, it was such an interesting experience to work with her for like a decade, I think. Because I was working with Kareena and Lolo and Madhuri and a lot of people from Matrix. And Reshma Shetty was very instrumental to give me Katrina, you know, who was also one of her talents. So that's how I started working with Katrina. And and it was very interesting. I was very young. I was in my early 20s when I started working.
And you were handling all of them by yourself without any senior person?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was super young. I was in my early 20s when I started working with all of them. And it was actually very unnerving and also exciting at the same time. But I wanted to take it up as a challenge, you know, and that's what I did. So Katrina is like, you have to work very hard, but once you work with her, you understand she is where she is because of the way she is. And she's pushing you to do your best as well. And you will do your best because that's just how she is, you know?
Yeah.
And I recently saw her interview and I was, you know, she said something. She said, you know, there's one line that you learn. There's a lot of life lessons you learn with Katrina, but she says that if you don't have anything nice to say,
Don't
about
say it.
someone, don't say anything at all,
Yeah.
you know. And it's so true with her, you know. Over the years I've worked with her, she never has anything bad to say about anyone. She only has nice things to say. And if she wants, if she has to say something, even when she tells you that she's not happy with something, she'll be like, okay, but we need more options, you need to do better, you know. We can do better. She will not berate you in any way. She just wants you to you know, like, for all of us to do our best.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess that's something that we learned a lot of patience with her. She has this attitude where she will be on set and she will never ever complain about anything. Like, never complain about the long hours or the timings. So I always felt like, if she can be like that, then why can't all of us? Because she's the one in front of the camera. You know, she's the one who's spending so many hours. You know, it's tough. You know, an actor's job is tough. You know, and it's glamorous and it's amazing and whatever, and they get paid lots of money for it. But it's tough. It's not easy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But since you mentioned about patience, I'm sure that a lot of people would be like, okay, we don't want this. Can you change it? And I'm sure you've also evolved as a person into that.
Yeah.
But who's the most difficult person to
I
have
don't
worked
think
with?
there's anyone difficult, babe, because you know what? Everyone is different.
Yeah.
Everyone's expectations are different. You know, I also expect a lot out of people that work with me, but I'm also expecting because I know that we can do better. It's always just from that perspective. It's never from a perspective of being hard on someone.
Yeah, of course.
You know, or being an ass to someone. I'm not being personal. I just want us to all work together and do our best, you know.
Right.
So even when somebody has been difficult with me, or I've had difficult times, of course I've had them, you know, in my career, but it's okay because it's all been a learning, you know. I'm just learning to get better, you know. And even today, I think it's all fine. We've all worked till 5 in the morning and done fittings at 2 in the night and woken up from half our sleep and like done fittings, you know, to put looks together. And promotions are very tough, but it's all exciting. I mean, it's all a part of the job. Eventually, look at the gratification. You know, you post it on Instagram and everyone's looking at your looks and everyone's talking about it, and you know, and you get so much appreciation and people love you and people want to get to know you and they want to do what you're doing, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone's difficult.
But
honestly.
has there been a time, because you've always been in the spotlight through celebrities, your looks have been looked at. Has there been a time where you felt that, okay, my ego is coming in my way? Because as humans, sometimes we might think highly of ourselves, but then later do we realize that, you know, it's not what we thought.
Of course, ego has come in my way.
How did you overcome it? Give an example of a situation that you faced.
You know, there have been times, I don't have a particular example, but there have been times where I've taken up 2-3 shoots at the same time, you know, and I'm like, I can do it. You know, I can do it. I've done it before. I'll do it. But then I realized that I was running from pillar to post in Bombay traffic, trying to get from one place to another. You know, now instead of having one happy client, I have 2 anxious or 3 anxious, unhappy clients. What's the point of that? You know, so I think learnings along the way that, you know, you can't do that. You know, you gotta like take up something, give it 100%. And, you know, it's not about the money and it's not about doing everything. You don't have to do everything. That's greed, you know.
Yeah.
As opposed to taking something and doing it correctly, doing it perfectly, giving your time to it, giving that person the energy and the time because they are trusting you with something. So they have to be able to trust you. Faith is 2 ways, you know.
Yeah.
So I think along the way, there have been times that my ego came in the middle. I lost work. I lost a client, you know, I realized and the person came back and then I got a second chance. It's happened over the years. 16 years of working, of course, there have been ups and downs, you know. That's totally normal. And, you know, there have been ups and downs with clients also that I've worked with. And it's okay. I think the big thing is to put your ego aside and just do your work. Put your head down and work. That's it. Yeah.
But because, you know, these things are highly at stake because you're dealing with big personalities. So, you know, when things like these happen, how do you manage to fix it? I would want to just know it.
I don't think I am bigger than anyone who's hiring me to work with them. That's my most important thing. When I am somebody hires me to style them, they are my muse, they are my client, it's work. Work is God, it's simple. You're getting the opportunity to do it, and they are important, and they are giving you work. Just be thankful, be grateful, and don't put yourself, whoever you may be, like it could be the biggest stylist in the world, but you cannot put yourself above the work. Your work is more important, and eventually, if you do that well, then that's all that matters. That's going to give you everything back, So I think that's what I've done, all my life. Like even now, when I'm dressing actors, there's nothing in the day that I can do that's below me. Oh my God, I've been 15 years, I'm a stylist. I can't put someone's shoes on, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. There's nothing. There is whatever all the 100 parts of doing my work is, which is, sourcing, doing fittings, picking up bags, picking up suitcases, packing suitcases. Of course, my girls will do it because they're lovely and I'm happy to help them. But there is nothing that's below me that is a part of my job.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I want to maintain for the rest of my life until I'm styling. If I'm doing this, then everything that encompasses this job, nothing is below me. That's it.
Yeah, it's very important feeling to have that, because sometimes you might think that you're bigger,
exactly,
larger than life,
but you're not.
Yeah,
that's the downfall. The minute you start feeling like there is something that is that you're above. Oh, I can't do this because I'm above it. Because I'm been around for 15, 20. Why should I do this? No, that is not the attitude to have,
Yeah.
And that is the downfall.
Is that the reason why you think most of the stylists who rose up to the top and are nowhere to be seen today, is that the reason why that's the case?
I don't know. Everyone has their own personal journeys. It could be different reasons. It could be their priorities changed, and they went the family way, or or they started doing something else. They took a keen interest in something else, or they felt professionally, or their health took a turn. It could be so many different reasons, or somebody realized, somebody messed up, put themselves above it. Or there could be multiple reasons,
Got it.
Yeah.
And do you think that there is an age bias in styling? Because like for you, I'm sure you were one of the youngest people styling all the celebrities, so you didn't face it. But do you think in the industry people face that age bias?
100%. Not just in our industry. I think age bias is there in every industry. I have a very dear friend who is a founder of a massive company in India, super young. He's 21, 22, probably one of the
just
brightest.
21?
Yeah.
Oh, Zepto you might be
Yeah,
talking about.
exactly. So Adit and K, we are like very good friends and such bright, boys or men, if I may say so. Of course, they're so young, I'm sure they go through age bias as well in their industry. So whether it was my industry, there are so many young people in their early 20s now, or teens, that are killing it world over. I think you have to go with, who knows best, who's doing best, and who has the knowledge and the aptitude and the potential.
But
eventually, it's not about that. It's not about your age.
Did you personally face any age bias?
Of course, when I was young, they were like treating me as like the young girl and like, what does she know? And it's okay. And it didn't deter me, or it didn't affect me, because I was like, it's okay. It's fine. My work will speak. I'll just work hard, and I'll change their mind with my work. I don't have to say anything,
Yeah.
Just put your head down and work, and your work will speak, and they will respect you when that happens. You don't have to prove
ultimately your client will speak.
Exactly. You don't have to scream from rooftops for people to respect you. You just have to do your job and do it well, and do it to your best potential, and people will respect you in time.
Yeah. When you started, Instagram wasn't there.
It was,
and all
I think 2012 or 13 is when I got on Instagram. It was there only like a few years before that, maybe. So I was going through my old posts actually, and I was like, I used to post. I was so stupid. Like the way I used to post, back in the day.
Everybody
But
feels
everything's
that.
changed, yeah. Even the resolution of the pictures and like the cameras have gotten better. And if you see old pictures and now and the way everything's changed, it's crazy. And I mean, I'm dying to see what's going to happen like 10 years from now, with AI and technology. And it's only going to get better.
I was going to ask that, today in each kind of a post that a celebrity puts up, they tag each person like styled by, hair and makeup, all of that. So when you started, you said that Instagram wasn't as popular a platform. So do you remember the first few posts where you styled a celebrity and they gave you the credit in the caption? When was
Wow, I won't remember the first few posts, but I would think it was Sonam, maybe. When I was working with Sonam, and she must have probably...
Did you start getting DMs then after that?
Yeah, Instagram did give us it was a huge platform to get a lot more work, for sure. Because you can suddenly put your work out and everybody's seeing and watching it. And because everyone's on Instagram as well, so everyone's watching it.
Yeah.
So everyone's watching each other's work, So, I think it was a massive platform to get more work as well, even today.
Which is that one craziest request that you've ever received in your DMs for styling? Either through a celebrity or a normal person.
I'm trying to think. Through DMs, not so much. Maybe.
Otherwise?
Craziest request.
Yeah, like you were like, wow, I mean, how is this even possible to do?
I don't think there has been something crazy really. It's always been because I've mainly been working with actors, world over. But I think not a crazy request, but exciting could be like, say, styling a press tour for Freida internationally, like for one of her movies outside of India. Because I was doing press in like London and New York and LA and, all over the world. And I remember she had to do a variety interview with Milo, the guy in This Is Us, the main character. And I had such a big crush on him. And I was at the variety studio and I dressed her. And I was like, I can't believe he's here. And she was like, can you focus on me? And I'm like, I can't. So that was like a crazy, interesting, exciting moment for me,
How did you get a chance to work with Freida Pinto?
Freida, called me when she was in India. And, she wanted to go for... I think it was Stad, and it was, she had a very big event in Stad. A Small World, it was called.
Okay.
I remember. And she wore a namika. That was the first time we worked together. Her agent got in touch with me and, was like, Freida would like to style you. I mean, Freida would want you to style her. And it's been now 15 years. We've been very close friends. Of course, Freida is now in LA and she has a baby and she works with stylists in LA as well. But Freida and me worked together for 10 years and we still are, we're still probably going to be doing something this year as well.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing, lifelong relationship of friendship and more. Yeah.
Did you style anybody for Cannes Film Festival?
No, not this year. Not this year. Someone I was working with, past years I have. I've styled Aishwarya. I've styled back in the day, many years ago. I've styled Deepak Khosla the last couple of years. Over the years, styled people at Cannes, but yeah, I think I probably may have styled Freida as well at some point at Cannes, but yeah, I worked with her a lot over the years for like a lot of international events.
Yeah.
Which has been super exciting.
And Met Gala is like your dream destination next for
Definitely. I mean, I would love to style someone at the Met.
Yeah.
But it has to be someone who's special to me and, it's something that I have time to do because the Met is super important. So
why don't you tell us, this is very interesting actually, what goes into the styling for a Met Gala look?
I think the Met Gala look is that, of course, it's the first Monday of May every year, and when it's approximately happening in the year, and then you get the theme, and then you work with your client and the designer to custom make, and everything is custom done from the shoes to the accessories to the outfit, and it's sketched, and so it's in between you and the client and the designer, and then obviously the final product has to be approved by the client, but a lot of the names involved have to be approved by Anna Wintour. Like she has to be okay with who you're wearing, and who is bringing who for the Met.
Okay.
So I think it's a final destination for all stylists. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would love that someday, soon.
How do you think can that be possible?
I think it depends when the people that you work with, if they end up going for for the Met,
Yeah.
So if someone I'm working with, say an Alia and Kiara were working with Anaita, that's how Anaita style them for the Met.
Yeah.
So someone I'm working with, if they end up going for the Met and choose to use me as a stylist, that's how I end up styling for the Met.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Someday.
Yeah.
And Anaita is one of the biggest names today. I'm sure you also look up to her.
Of course.
So how do you think somebody can reach that level that she is at?
I think it's been many years for Anaita of like working in the industry, and she's been such a pioneer when it comes to fashion. And she was the fashion director at Vogue for so many years, and before that she was at L'Official, and she's had a lineage of fashion right in India. And I think all of us have looked up to her with her work. And I mean, she was she styled Aisha so incredibly at the Met this year. So yeah, I think it's a lot of work, it's a lot of years, it's a lot of experience, it's a lot of talent, so yeah, I think it's just something that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, I'm sure it.
And it's a lot of knowledge, she's a sea of knowledge as well over the years of doing so many iconic things for Vogue, and then post that as well.
Yeah. But if you get two good opportunities at the same time, how do you choose which one to go ahead with? If suppose two of your favorite actresses have shoots at the same time and they choose to hire you, how do you prioritize?
If there are two very different locations, then you have to choose one. And the
How
one
do
that
you choose that, but
it's very simple. Whoever calls you first, and whoever you give your word to first. So if somebody calls me and they're like, okay, we want your date and we want your time and this is what you're doing, and you say yes to them, then it doesn't matter. It could pay you 10 times more or could be much bigger.
Yeah.
But the person that called you first is who you owe your time to, So as long as you have your ethics and time and morals in place, you're fine, But if it's the same time, the same studio, then you could maybe style both of them and have your teams available, people that are competent, and then overlook both the things.
Yeah.
But it needs to be in the same vicinity then.
And how are the working hours in this industry like? It's
usually 8 hours or 12 hours.
For
a shoot. For a campaign shoot, for an ad shoot. And then when it's movies, it's more sometimes. It's 8 hours, 10, 12, 14. It can
Don't
go
you
on.
get tired since you told
I don't
me
do
you follow
movies
routine?
I don't do movies too much.
Okay.
Very, very rarely. And unless it's a challenge and I'm excited about it. I have done movies. I've done about 15, 20 films.
Okay.
But I do it rarely. But yeah, ad campaigns are 8 to 10 hours. Yeah,
and why
12.
do you choose to not do so much of movies?
Because I think I'm not a costume designer or a costume stylist. I'm more of a fashion stylist. I'm more of a personal stylist. A costume stylist is someone, or a costume designer is someone who puts together a look for a character.
For a director's vision.
Yeah, and for a character from a certain time or a certain place or a certain strata of society, etc., etc. They're designing for a character. I am a stylist. I'm putting together a look for an individual. I'm styling Kareena Kapoor, the actor, not, or I'm styling Kareena Kapoor, the personality. I'm not styling. When she's in a movie, she could be playing a next door girl. She could be playing. So that's more costume design, I don't think, so when I've done movies, if it's more styling driven, and if it's more to kind of put the look together, and, she could be a girl, who's from Bombay and she's, she lives in New York or whatever, when I'm putting a look together, when I'm styling a character, that's interesting to me. I could take it up. But when it's a period film or more character driven, I don't think, I don't think I have the expertise to be a costume designer. More costume, when it's more costume driven.
Yeah.
But if it's more styling driven, then it's exciting.
Which was the last movie that you worked for, though?
Wow. I worked on Kriti Sanon in Shehzada.
Acha.
Yeah. Karthik and Kriti. Yeah. So that was exciting to me because it was completely down my alley, to put a wardrobe together for her in the film. But that was more styling. So anything that's styling related, I find that more my forte.
Got it. Which shows, by the way, do you think recently which have come in Bollywood, where you think the styling is perfectly done for the actor?
I haven't seen Royals, but I heard that.
Yeah, I
haven't seen it. The
there.
styling is amazing, I've heard. Astha Sharma has styled it, and I heard that she's killed it. So I really want to watch it. And my sister's actually casted Royals.
Yeah.
So I would like to see Royals because I've heard the styling is amazing.
Yeah, it is. Personally, I watched it and I was like, wow, how did they even conceptualize
or
these
like for that matter, even Call Me Bae. I think Anaita styled Ananya Pandey, and I think they've also done an incredible job.
Yeah.
So there are lots of shows that are killing it in India and internationally as well.
Right.
That are very interesting. I mean, the most iconic will always be Sex and the City.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing can replace that.
Nothing can replace that.
But we've spoken about a lot of actresses that you worked with. Tell me about some of the actors that you worked with.
I've mainly worked with actresses.
Is it?
Yeah. Over 16 years. I have worked with actors as well. I've worked with, Siddharth Malhotra and Varun Dhawan and, God, I'm now forgetting. But yeah, I've worked with Shahid Kapoor and, Rahul Bose and lots of male actors as well. But mainly I have worked with female actors and it's always been my forte. And I think I'm a girl's girl and I enjoy playing dress up with girls. And I realized over the years that that's what gives me joy. So,
yeah. Finding your true calling is also
very important. I mean, it's not that. You never know. I might work with male actors as well. But I find that working with female actors and the energy and it kind of, I feel like it's something that I've always enjoyed more.
Got it. And since you said that you worked with so many brands, I want to ask you that has there any unrealistic expectation ever put on to you by a brand which you had to push back against and say that, this is not going to go well with the mood board and this is not something we can do?
When you say brand, you mean like not a designer, right? You're saying a brand.
Yeah.
There have been so many examples of like times that a brand wants something on the actor for the campaign. And I'm like, but it's not going to work on this person,
Yeah.
And then they have to trust you, and they have to, sometimes they won't listen to you and they have to hear it from the actor themselves, that does happen. So there are many instances that has happened over the years with brands. But you have to put your foot down. And they have to trust you because eventually you're the stylist. You know what's going to work in terms of silhouettes, color, styles, the background, the storyboard, everything. So there's been some push and pull there. But you eventually, if you put your foot down, they listen to you.
Yeah. And what are the kind of paychecks that as a stylist you get offered in different kind of roles, which is when you're working with a brand, an individual, for an event?
When you work on an branded campaign, which is like an ad campaign, there are stylists, celebrity stylists can go anywhere from 2 to 6 lakhs, depending on the brand, depending on the actor, when it is a personal event, then you're getting paid by the actor. So it's much lesser, but then there's a barter, right? Where you're like, okay, I'll style you for your personal events, but then I'll do your ads and I'll do your ad, campaigns where a brand will pay me, So you may get a bit lesser for personal events. Then you do movie promotions where the producer pays you or the studio pays you, and that's like a bulk deal, which could be like 20, 25, 30 days of promotions. So you get paid per day.
And how much is that?
It could be, it depends, everything depends on the actor that you're working with. Because if it's a very big established actor, then you get paid a lot more. If it's someone new, someone you want to work with, someone who's upcoming, then it's lesser. So it could go anywhere between, say, 50 grand a day to 2 lakhs a day,
What's the
or 2.5.
highest amount in styling that you've
Promotions,
seen?
movie promotions, I would say 2.5 maybe per day, uh, the highest,
Yeah.
for like the super big actors.
Huh.
But could be lesser for, and sometimes for super big actors, they will also buy their clothes because they're like, I don't want to like wear something. I don't want to wear something average. So let's just figure out like what we can buy. And then sometimes it's a mix of buying and sourcing both.
Okay.
So it really, the whole thing depends on who you're working with, what the medium is,
Got
and
it.
then, if it's personal styling, when it's non-actor related and you're working with HNIs, which is like high net worth individuals, then it's per event. Or if you're styling them for a whole holiday for like 10 days, then you can charge them for that.
Oh, you style for holidays also?
Yeah, I mean, you work with HNIs, no? Sometimes you have personal clients that are beyond actors. So that's personal styling. That's a whole different market altogether.
What's that market like?
That market is like people that are super, super wealthy, or HNIs, or individuals that are exceedingly doing well in their business, but they don't have the time to put together their looks or their wardrobe, and they hire you to put everything together for them because they don't have the time to do it themselves, So they outsource.
What kind of events do they usually hire for? Like holidays?
It could be holidays, it could be personal events, it could be a wedding, it could be a business conference, it could be a talk, anything that they do on a daily basis that an HNI would
Is the paycheck over there good enough as you
Very
would
good, very good, very good. Yeah. I mean, it's good money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what would the range typically look like for stylists?
Again, honestly,
Depending
it
on
really
the
depends. Yeah, it really depends on.
But it's above 1 lakh per day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. You have also styled for Ambani Wedding, no? Tell me about that
I mean, I've styled a lot of actors for the Ambani Wedding. So that was exciting because it went on for a while, and it was all different themes, and so that was exciting. Yeah, it was
challenging because it was very thematic.
Yeah, challenging, but in a fun way, challenging in a way that I was styling 6-7 people at the same time,
Okay.
So
How
my
did you
teams were all
manage that?
busy. I had like pre-done fittings, and then I would go somewhere for like 15 minutes, get someone ready, then my team would take over, and then I would go somewhere else, be there for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, so that I'm overlooking everyone.
Okay.
And thankfully, they were all close by getting ready, So, and obviously doing fittings and pre-deciding the looks from the beginning so that it's all kind of prepped. So that was exciting. Yeah.
How did you get ready for the event then? If you were like,
I didn't go.
Around?
I didn't really go.
Why?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I'm not that close to the Ambanis or anything. But I was and my focus every time I get actors ready for events is them, So it's not so much me. Sometimes when I'm going for an event, I'll try and go for the ones where I don't have to get anyone ready. Because when I'm getting someone ready, it's very rare for me to then have the time or space to think about myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the pictures that I've seen you with celebrities, you're always like in your nice, comfortable clothes. It's not like you also have to go somewhere
because
together.
I'm working, so it's like I'm at work.
But have you ever felt this thing, because you're always in front of the limelight with other people, that you also would want to come in front of the screen or get the attention? Did you ever get that feeling? Because
no, honestly, I don't think so that I would ever want to. I mean, of course, I'll do a podcast. I'll do an interview to impart whatever knowledge I have to help people that, want to get into fashion and styling, or, just share my life journey. But I don't have any kind of, such aspirations of...
No desires
of, being in front of the camera as such. Yeah.
Or as yet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because I mean, Bhumi Pednekar also, she was into direction and now she is
of course.
leading.
She is a but she's an incredible actor.
Yeah, that she is.
Not so much me.
No?
I know my strengths.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm very happy with where I am, and I would want to do better with what I'm doing, you know, and probably pivot to something else within fashion and within styling, and you know, do something interesting with the same, staying in the same arena, you know,
Yeah.
within fashion and styling and in the creative industry. Yeah.
Got it. I want to do a quick rapid fire with you before I get to Dhoom Dhaam,
Yeah.
trunk show, the business part of what you do. So this rapid fire would be around some stories that I'd like to learn from you on your challenges, your moments that you're proud of, etc. So starting with, you know, any wardrobe malfunctions that you have witnessed in the 17 years of your career.
Wow. Wardrobe malfunctions. I mean, well, it's not a malfunction, but I remember Katrina, I was styling her for something, and I think it was a Naim Khan gown, or it was a Marchesa gown or something like that, either one of them. And it was a black gown, and it was like one of those corseted gowns, and she was leaving for the event, and we zipped her up, and the whole zip snapped. And she had literally had to leave for the red carpet because she was winning an award. And we had to, with a horseshoe needle, stitch her in. You know, those horseshoe needles are the ones that you use for the shoes, right? We had to, 3 people had to hold her and we'd stitch her into the gown. And so I remember when she was at the event, she messaged me, how do I go to the bathroom now? you know, so we literally had to sew her into it. So it was quite crazy, stressful, amusing, crazy, you know, things that have happened over the years. But this is just the one that pops up in my head.
Oh my God. This was recent? Like,
no, many years ago.
बहुत पहले का है. Got it. And you know, what's one Bollywood fashion trend that's going on currently that you hate? I mean, hate is a strong word, but
Bollywood fashion trend that I hate is just too much of a pop culture. Like, I feel like it's nice to not be constantly on, like, the whole pop culture, constantly seeing where actors are constantly all the time. I think it's even affecting how movies are doing and how people are doing on shows and OTT, and it's affecting the whole business because I feel like they are seen so much that people are not excited to see them on screen anymore because you're seeing them at the palm of your hand constantly everywhere, coming out of the gym, coming out of a restaurant, coming out of everywhere. So when they're not seen for some time, that creates intrigue that makes me want to go to the theater to watch them. So I don't like that. Yeah, I think actors that are not seen so much are eventually going to be bigger stars, according to me.
No, that's actually a very smart way of thinking because the more mystery you create, the more attention you demand.
Yeah.
So that's
what I feel. That's what I feel. That you should just be seen. You can do certain important things, and you know, but the ones that are keeping that intrigue, keeping that mystery, and not overdoing it on Instagram, overdoing it on a social platforms, and not being overseen at places or whatever.
Yeah.
Especially when you're an actor, and the ones that you can only pay the money and watch them on screen, those are the ones that are good, like, according to me, are going to be huge stars.
Yeah, like for example, Shah Rukh Khan won't be seen coming out of a gym.
Yeah.
He'll just be there.
Yeah, I think that intrigue is important.
Yeah. And you know, which is the longest working hour shift that you had to
I was talking to Shraddha because I was shooting an ad with her recently, and I was telling her that I remember back in the day we shot for a campaign, I think it was Lavi or one of the brands that she was endorsing, and we shot for 16 hours for the ad.
What was there for 16 hours to shoot?
She's such a passionate, compassionate and passionate actor. Like, she's just someone who comes on set and she will let the director do their thing and she will let the actor. And I remember we shot, I don't know, so long, but now, of course, everything has changed, right? Now it's like everything is contracted and you have the actor only for 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever. But I remember back in the day, we had shot for like crazy amount of hours and we were on set and it was just all of us putting things together. But I remember by the 15th hour, I was like, I'm dying. I'm like, my bones are going to break. Just thinking about it, I feel like I'm feeling body pain, you know, because it was very long. It was in the night and I am not a night owl at all. I go to bed by like 10:30, max 11. And I'm up at like in the morning, super early by 7. I'm just a day person, so night shoots are death for me.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I just
And this
can't.
was only one outfit through the shoot, or was
No,
it
it was a
change?
couple of outfits. It was 2-3 changes, but we went on for the last look went on for like many hours.
My God. And what was your role as a stylist there for?
Just like every time she changes and how she's looking on screen and what is her look, and you have to be there for that, because that's the main part.
Don't you sometimes get frustrated that you just have to be there without doing anything?
Yeah, but that's the part of the job.
Yeah,
that's where the patience comes in, and you have to know that that's what you're getting paid for. That's your responsibility, and you have to be there. That's just the job,
That's true. Because
like I'm currently doing like reruns of this show called Grey's Anatomy, and I don't know how exactly. I mean, it's dramatized because it's TV, but I can imagine that surgeons have surgeries that go on for like 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours.
They cannot leave the patient.
You can't just exactly. So it's your job,
That's a very good analogy.
Yeah.
And what's the biggest myth in Bollywood styling that you'd like to burst?
That it's very glamorous, and that it's just a bed of roses. Because it's not. It's a lot of hard work, sleepless nights, a lot of stress. Things can go wrong. Sometimes things are not in your hand. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people coordination, and I think it's a myth that it's, oh my God, because you're traveling the world and it's so glamorous, and wow, what is your life? From the outside, it's very different from what it's from the inside, And of course, it's all of that. Of course, I get to work with the most beautiful women in the world, and I'm very lucky to do that. But there's a lot of stuff that's very hard, there are hard parts of the job that you have to do.
Why don't you show the BTS of your day sometime to people?
Yeah. I just think the reason I haven't done it is because I believe that actors are already so exposed that there's a lot of I don't want to intrude in someone's privacy.
No, not showing them, but like how sourcing works. Yeah, because that is so time consuming.
It is very time consuming. Yeah, that would be interesting. A day in the life of.
Yeah, you must.
Yeah.
And you have a YouTube though?
No, I never have had.
No.
Yeah, because I mean, of course, I love Instagram and it's fun and all of that, but I don't think I would be very good at like vlogging, documenting my life on a daily basis. Achha. Yeah, I don't know what I would say.
Okay, got it. And what's the craziest reach out that you've done to a brand, international brand, where you didn't expect a reply from, but they luckily replied to you for a collaboration?
I remember years ago, I reached out many years ago, even before like Brunello Cucinelli, the brand that has styled lots of looks in succession, which is like super big now. Like Brunello is massive. But I'm talking like 12, 15 years ago. I remember I reached out to them. I was in New York and I loved the brand. And like J-Lo was wearing it, etc. I loved it. And I remember they invited me to come into their studio in New York and like see all their pieces. And they were like, oh, you can take what you want, and they had the most incredible cashmeres and fabrics and silks and like a long line of like beautiful white shirts, but like all different kinds and beautiful cardigans and pantsuits. And I mean, it's just quiet luxury to the next level, So I remember that moment when I sourced a lot of their pieces and we even used them, I think maybe on Sonam or, one of the other actors that I was working with at that point. But yeah, I mean, that was quite an epic moment to go into their studio, and not just them, like there have been so many other brands, that have allowed me into their spaces and given me access to beautiful clothes, that are, and when you actually go and see them in person, you realize that God, it's like literally like when they say fashion is art, art is fashion, they really mean it. You know, when you go and see, when you see pieces walk the runway, you realize, you know, up close and personal, that it's a lot of work that's gone in, and it's really walking art.
Yeah.
You know?
And how do you usually reach out to unknown designers or brands that you have to work with? What's the process?
Instagram, their websites, they have in their contact page, you know, they have all the details of their emails, and then you send them your Instagram, they see the work that you've done, your website, and then they get in touch with you and your team, and yeah, that's how it happens.
Which is one unique international brand that you're currently admiring?
Wow, I think Schiaparelli,
okay,
you know, is so iconic. Every time they have a collection, you're like, it takes your breath away. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, YSL is like forever favorite. And I think every time Anamika comes up with a new collection, it's always like jaw dropping.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I mean, she styled most of the things in the Royals, and no wonder why people are loving it so much.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know, which is the biggest rejection of a styling idea that you've ever faced? Without taking names, you can say, but what was that idea which got rejected, which you really had worked on?
No, there have been times that, not rejected, but there have been times I've worked super hard on something and it fell through. Like it didn't happen, or the actor didn't feel it, or it went away to another stylist, or it didn't happen, the campaign didn't happen, or the ad didn't, or the project didn't happen. And I worked for like 4 months on it, you know. So there have been multiple times like that, you know, but I always say, like, if something doesn't fall in place, it was just not meant to be. And there will always be another opportunity, you know, to do something. And whoever gets whatever, it's in their destiny, you know, and they're supposed to do that the best. So I've always kind of maintained that. So it's okay. Everything is not a win.
Yeah. Is there a favoritism in Bollywood industry?
Listen, not just in Bollywood, there's favoritism everywhere, and that's okay. I don't think it's favoritism. I think it's comfort. You know, someone works with someone because at that point they're comfortable with them. They think that that person will do the best for them at that point, you know, and then you may work with someone else at another point. And that's okay, you know. Sometimes you work with certain people and you move to another person, and then someone else may work with you, you know. So there will be this a little bit of a musical chairs that will happen, and that's okay. It's good, you know. In a creative industry, people should work with each other, different people, because that's how you explore new phases in your life. And I think that's how you explore and do incredible work, you know. And of course, sometimes a combination works for like many, many, many years, you know, a decade or a couple of years, and you do some really iconic work together as well. So people that have stuck together for a very long time, I feel have done very good work together because they understand each other. You know, like Sonam and Riya, for example. You know, or me and Bebo, you know, for example. I feel, you know, I worked with her for so many years. I feel I've done my best with her, you know. And then like, even internationally, you know, if you see luxury law in India, or you see Elizabeth Stewart and Julia Roberts and Kate Blanchett, or, you know, Kate Young and, you know, Julianne Moore, you know. So there are combinations over the years that have worked together, and they've done very iconic work.
Yeah, I mean, the longer your team is with you, the better you perform, because if you have a lot of churn happening, then it doesn't result in
That's what I feel. So long associations, definitely every now and then you'll work with different people, but the long associations are the ones that do really legendary work together.
Yeah. You worked with any international celebrity yet?
No, but hoping.
Who's on your wish list?
God, I would love to style Anne Hathaway someday. I love her. Yeah, I love her. I mean, I don't know if it's going to ever happen, but God forbid.
Is there any pathway to pursue if you want to get there, or you wait for the opportunity to fall into your lap? How does it
Well,
work?
I think India is right now on world map, and everyone's looking at India. Everyone's watching India. Everyone wants to work with India. So I think a lot of doors will open up. But I'm very happy with the work that I'm doing in India, and I'm working with very like amazing actors and iconic people. But obviously, like I would love to work with people that I've looked up to over the years internationally as well. So yeah.
But is there a way you can reach out to them saying that you want to work with them?
It's tough to reach out to them directly because they already have. It's like people here have teams, people there have teams as well.
Yeah.
So it's not so simple. You have to go through agencies or an agent, and who knows who has a grounding in that industry. Just like if a stylist from there comes here, they would have to get to know managers here or agents here. Correct. And then get work here, So it's the same world over. Everything is possible.
Yeah.
It just takes time and effort and networking and a lot of hard work and I think destiny and time.
That's so true. But do you plan to reach out to them by yourself to get it?
Not really.
No, you wanted to naturally
I think I mean it depends over time. We'll see.
Only time can tell that.
Yeah,
that's true. And I want to also ask you about the fashion risks that you've taken, because I'm sure that sometimes you also want to go offbeat and try something new. So what's that one biggest fashion risk that you've taken that has paid off first, and secondly that didn't work out well? I wouldn't call it a flop, but I would just say that it didn't work out.
Fashion risk that has paid off, I would say. I'm trying to like think of something very different that I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like putting an actor internationally, maybe someone like a Freida, and usually the things that have worked have been, you work with super international brands, like the Ralph Lauren, the Yeli Saab, the Versace. But we wanted to break that and work with designers in India, whether it's a Rahul Mishra or an Anamika Khanna, and do like something very different, a silhouette that has not been seen on an international red carpet, and put Indian designers on a global map, and I think that's paid off, So those kind of risks have paid off over the years, but making sure they still look contemporary and modern, but working with embroideries and silhouettes and very Indian in its grounding, Fashion risks that have not paid off. Well, it's not a fashion risk, but it's a fashion faux pas. Means I've made mistakes, right? Like when the first or the second time that I worked with Pariniti Chopra, like back in the day, I put her in something and I realized later when the pictures came out that it didn't work and it fell through.
What was the outfit like?
It was like I think it was a Marquesa dress, maybe. And it didn't work at that time. And I remember telling her that, I owe you one, because I think I could have done better and we will do better. And we did do better. We worked together, a few years later, and we did a lot of amazing looks together, and she looked amazing. And, she really pulled it off very well. But yeah, I think I kind of owed her that, So yeah, you over the years, you make mistakes. You
learn with time. Yeah. That's how you grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, who do you think today is the most underrated style icon in Bollywood?
Underrated.
Who's not talked about so much, but they're really doing a great job at their fashion game.
I think Shobita Dulipala. I think she does get talked about because she's quite amazing. But she is so I feel like she's so chill and she's so on the DL. She's not screaming for attention, or she kind of knows that she's quite she's very chic and very well put together, and she has so much innate style. And I feel like she will eventually do a lot of international stuff. Because, I feel like that. I mean, that's my feeling. I could be wrong, but it's my feeling that she has that face and that she has that energy and she has that vibe.
That
That
poise.
she has that,
Yeah.
she has that poise that she can be a incredible crossover, you know.
Somewhat like what Irfan Khan was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, she's got that beautiful Indian beauty, but very international in the way she is as well, you know, the way she carries herself, whether it's Indian clothes. And I like that she's very rooted in India as well. Like if you see her wedding or post that as well, she's beautiful in Indian clothes, but she brings that energy into her Western wear as well, you know. Just like an exotic Indian girl.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll be very happy to hear this.
I tell her that all the time.
Yeah. Which was your first paycheck and which project gave you that?
My first paycheck was, I think, Sonam. Yeah, when I was working with Sonam Kapoor.
Oh, that was your first?
Yeah. I think that was my first like paid. I was working with her on a retainer, which was like the whole month I would work with her on like separate events, and she would pay me on a retainer because that was when I was working very, very, very like young. So I think that was my first.
And were you
paycheck.
Exclusively for her, or you were taking other projects also?
At that time I was exclusive for like 2-3 years. Yeah.
Because that gave you the platform, the foundation.
Exactly.
Got it. And during your internship days, how much was the paycheck that you got, and what is the pay scale that interns are getting now in styling?
You know, at that time, of course, it was lower. When you're an intern, at that time was like 25-30 grand a month, you know. But of course, things are changing now, and you know, things have it's gone up. So yeah, over the last 15-20 years, things have changed.
How much do interns get in today's time?
It depends. If it's an unpaid intern, if it's just for experience, a lot of people will come and they'll be like, listen, and I'll be like, listen, my team is full. Like, I don't have anyone to take right now. But they'll be like, no, we just want to come for the experience. Then they'll come and then you just give them like conveyance or travel. So they don't spend any money of their own. But if it's a paid intern, then it's much more, you know, depending on different circumstances. I don't have anyone full-time now. I only work on project basis. So when I get a project, I hire an assistant so that they can do other things as well.
Yeah, that's better, no? It saves your cash flow also, because the times when you're not working, why should you pay somebody?
Exactly.
And for somebody to work with you in your team, I know that you're not hiring right now, but for somebody to work with a stylist like you, what does it really take in them as a skill set?
Someone who works super hard, someone who is very good with the research, someone who is very obsessed with fashion, you know, who understands that it will take a lot of hours, you know, and it's not as glamorous as it looks, and someone who's meticulous and disciplined.
Someone who also has a thick skin.
Yeah,
because
also,
rejections
and
can be many.
Rejections and patience and all of the attributes that it takes to be successful.
Yeah.
You know?
Are there any particular design schools in India and abroad that you would want to hire from?
Not really anything in particular, because I don't think when I hire someone, I'm not like, okay, if you're from this design school, I'm going to hire you. I think it's more about the energy of like what I feel when they come and meet me, you know.
That's good.
And what I feel about them and how they are as a person, etc., etc. But of course, like if you come from a design school, then you come with a lot of other attributes that you've learned while you were in school, you know.
So you don't have
the discipline that it takes or whatever. But there isn't any particular school that I would choose over something else.
That's good, because a lot of fashion designers who at least came on our show, they're like, our first preference is students from NIFT. Maybe
designing is different. Yeah.
But you know, coming to your entrepreneurial stint now with Dhoom Dhaam, tell me, how did you come up with the idea? I know you've tied up with your producer friend, but tell me, how did you meet her? Because finding a co-founder is also very difficult.
You know, she and me have been friends for many years. She was always my friend. And she was also a producer, and she told me that, you know, why don't we put together a show that can house lots of designers in India, like new, upcoming, why don't we do like a exhibition trunk show of sorts?
Huh.
And I was like, I don't know how I will be at that. And she was like, you know what, Dad, nobody else is doing it. At that time, when we started doing it, it was like 10 years ago now. No one else is putting together a show. No stylist. There are other people doing shows. There were lots of other shows happening. But no stylist is coming and curating a show.
Yeah.
So we started it. And she was the one who was the executor. I was the creative.
Okay.
So I was putting together like which designers I would like to curate and which ones work and which ones don't work. And so we did a show in Bombay. And then it did really well, and then it grew, and then we decided to take it to Delhi and Hyderabad and Dubai and lots of other cities, and now we do it every year. And then when COVID happened, we did it online as well.
You did it online?
Yeah.
How was that like?
It was really good, actually.
How many people joined in?
It was a pop-up online. So it was it was on for like a month or 2 months.
Was it like a website, e-commerce website?
It's like an e-commerce, yeah. But it was a pop-up, like a Dhoom Dhaam pop-up, you know. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, so sadly, unfortunately, we lost 2 years in the middle because we couldn't do like a big show, physical event. But yeah, this year we're doing a very big one. You know, quadruple the size actually of what we do. Yeah, because we usually do it at St. Regis, but this time it's at NSCI Dome.
Oh my
God,
it's going to be
massive. Yeah, so it's going to be a very big show, and it's going to be more of a lifestyle experience because this time it's about shopping and food and masterclass and a lot of other things together. Yeah,
it's like a festival in itself.
It's like a little shopping festival. Yeah.
And what's the revenue model like in this kind of a project?
We sell spaces to designers. So if it's a certain stall size, we sell the stall space to the designer. So we have sponsors and we sell spaces, and we get you know, sponsorships as well, like so jewelry and other different things. And we shoot campaigns, and we get, you know, actors and influencers to post about it, and you know, so yeah, that's what we do basically. You know, we don't the revenue model is not that we are making a percentage of the sales. We sell spaces.
Got it. Yeah, I was just going to ask you that, do you charge the designers also?
We charge the designer for the space,
not for the sell.
Not the sale.
Yeah. Got
whatever money they make is theirs.
Yeah, that's good enough, because the Lil Flea, it does charge people also over there who put up.
Yeah, so everyone has different revenue models.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to pivot to that as well, you know. But as of now, it's just...
Yeah. Interesting. And, you know, what kind of margins do you make in this kind of a business? For people
I'm not very good with the numbers, actually. I'm more of the creative person. So Ashi is the right person. Ashi and Disha are my co-founders at Dhoom Dhaam. So they are the number people. I am the creative person.
Understood. But how do you decide which designer to choose and which one to not choose?
How I decide is, the main thing of Dhoom Dhaam has always been that we choose brands that we feel like, when we first started, we had designers like Malmal or Jayanti Reddy or, you know, Arpita, or this was like 10 years ago when they were all much smaller brands and they were still upcoming. So the whole point is to find who's going to be the next Jayanti, who's going to be the next Malmal, you know, who's going to be the upcoming designer that's going to make it very big over the next 10 years, you know. So it's like we are garnering and we are giving a platform to new talent, you know. That's always been the forte, you know, to find designers that are super affordable. Dhoom Dhaam is very affordable, okay? You will come there and you will find something that you can buy. You know, that is the main thing.
Does it start from?
Starts from 5,000. It goes up to like, it could go up to lakh and a half, or 4 lakhs. But you will find something. You know, the sweet spot is always like I always am looking for brands that are within the range of like 20 to 40 grand, you know, so that people can come and find something for festive wear, for Rakhi, for Diwali, for, you know, like affordable clothes that people can wear for festive time, you know, festival time. That is the main aim of Dhoom Dhaam. So I keep it in that price range the most. And of course, there are designers and pieces that are more expensive, and people will find that as well. But they need to be able to find things that they can buy without overthinking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the foundation was that as a stylist, how can you help common people also find their choices?
Yeah.
So your presence in that kind of an exhibition, how does that help?
So I'm always there, at all the trunk shows. So when people come up to me and they ask me like, what do you think I should wear for Diwali? And they'll be like, can I take you to this stall? And like, what do you feel about this? Like, I'm kind of there, me and my team, and we're always advising people. And obviously, it's tough for me to meet everyone because there are so many people coming for the show. Yeah. But whoever asks me and whenever I can, I definitely help them in my own way. And that's the whole point of me being there and me curating the show, because then I can be there and I can help people on ground. And I've understood a lot more about what people want, and what people are looking for, and what is India like in the market of like festive where what are Indians looking for? Yeah. It's given me a lot of knowledge of that.
Is there any difference in the consumer demand that you saw back in 2016 when you started?
It's a lot more then. It was a lot more then.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because I think COVID changed a lot of things, and people are becoming, and there was a surge, like it went up post-COVID, and it's kind of now slowly coming down because people are understanding or realizing that they need to be a bit more
price conscious,
and they need to be a bit more smarter about what they buy. How much are they going to use it? All of that stuff has started to happen, which is good only because that is more challenging then. You got to give people value for their buck. Correct. So you're thinking and curating accordingly now. So, the world is always evolving and changing, and you have to change your ways according to that.
Yeah, but it's very interesting to see how consumer preferences change every year.
It changes every year. Yeah, it changes every couple of months.
Is there any designer that you had spotted early on who was not so big, but right now they have a big name?
Puneet Balana, I think. Okay. Back in the day, we worked for our first couple of trunk shows, and now he's killing it. His clothes are amazing. They're super light and very festive and very rooted to India, but beautiful, very high quality fabrics and silhouettes and styles. And he's also such a lovely person. But yeah, I really, really like his brand. And I think it's going to go a long way.
Yeah. And it's, India is full of weddings, all over the season. It's evergreen. Yeah. So what kind of new trends are you seeing for Indian brides?
I think everyone has their own voice now. Every bride has become very authentic, very individualistic. It doesn't have to be every bride is wearing a red and gold lehenga. Some brides want to wear colors that they feel work for them. It's better for their skin tone. So I think a lot of authenticity is happening in brides. A lot of people are going back to their roots also. So they're like, this is a South Indian wedding. A lot of brides are like, I don't only want to wear a red and gold lehenga from a certain designer. Maybe I want to wear something that's my mom's, and I want to redo it and take it to a designer and, bring something of that designer into my mom's outfit, like take an archival piece and make it my own, you know. So a lot of authenticity I can see in a lot of brides. But of course, there'll always be clones of each other as well. While all that happens, that also happens.
Yeah. And in this game of fashion, there's always fashion policing going on with some or the other commentary, like people like Sufi Motiwala, they openly criticize, and I honestly appreciate how transparently he uses his democratic freedom.
I mean, what you have to enjoy it. It's okay. It's an opinion. You may agree with it or you may not agree with it. You can enjoy it. It's very entertaining. It's funny. It's kind of like, listen, today Instagram is all about who is getting your eyeballs, who's getting eyeballs, who's saying things funnily and interestingly, and eventually you have to realize that everyone's making money and it's all a business.
Correct.
And just take it with a pinch of salt. It's not such a big deal.
And what do you have to say about these lists of most well-dressed, worst dressed, all those things. Do you think they really
again,
matter?
it's the same.
It's the business, of
It's
course.
the business. I mean, best dressed list is great. Like if you get on a best dressed list, it's a unanimous decision, right?
Yeah,
you know,
but
when
do
you
you
get on a
agree
best,
with the choices that
sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. You know, but most of the times, it's good. When you're on a best dressed list, it's good for the stylist, it's good for the actor, it's good for the team.
Yeah.
You know, it's good PR. So it's great when you get on a best dressed list, but it doesn't necessarily mean if you don't get on it, doesn't mean that you were not dressed well.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you gotten any awards recently for styling?
No, you know, I'm not such a awards
You're not?
person. Yeah, I feel like I'm a little bit like Bebo. She
Yeah?
always says, na, she said on Coffee with Karan that give me
What?
the rewards, not the awards. Yeah, I don't, it isn't, I mean, a lot of people love it. And, you know, I think not just in India, but world over, people are like, wow, you got an award for this and award. To me, I'm like, listen, I'm doing my job. I'm doing it to my best ability. I think the award is when people tell you that, wow, she looked amazing, you know, or you did a great job, or you get paid very well for it.
Yeah.
That's my award.
Do you think, you know, this kind of a demanding profession has ever taken a toll on your personal life? Or would you want it to change?
Of course, over
differently?
time, over years, you know, I've just like anyone else would have had relationships, and some have worked, some have not worked. Over the years, sometimes I've had a relationship in my life where I was so focused on my work that I didn't give my relationship time of day, you know. And I learned over years that, you know, whatever you put energy into, you get back. So you have to balance your life, and balance is very important. So I've learned a lot of lessons along the way, but no regrets, because you have to learn, live and learn, and fall and learn, you know. So it's fun. It's fun. It's all a part of the journey, you know. But I mean, work has given me a lot back. You know,
it
has. So I, you know, I think that will be one of the integral parts of my life.
That's your
for
first
sure.
love.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what do you think about love, and how do you find it?
Wow.
It's quite a complicated question.
It's very complicated.
Yeah.
I just think that we today we live in a world full of options, and you know, you're constantly feeling like when you're in one relationship, you feel like there's always so much
more.
There's so many options available.
Yeah.
But I think nobody's perfect. Like I could be with someone today and feel like there are issues with me or with that person, and either I could walk away or I could work on it, you know. And I think I'm the kind of person who likes to work on things, you know, and I've always had that approach. But I've lived and learned, because I've also had times where I found it easier to walk away, you know, because it was the easier way out. But that's the harder thing to do, is to stay and work on things, you know. And that's what, when I look at you know, touch wood, my sister and my brother-in-law, and they have this long-standing relationship of 11, 12 years. And I think they're like best friends, and they've really worked on making their relationship work. So I think I'm always looking at relationships like that, and knowing that it's never perfect. You're never going to find someone perfect. Neither are you perfect, you know. So you got to believe and have faith in people, and when you like someone and you love someone, you make it work, you know. You put an effort, you know. It's all about that.
But lastly, you know, what kind of advice would you like to give for all the young people who are wanting to get in a career like yours and want to become a celebrity stylist, not just a normal stylist?
I think if you have the resources and the sources, you should go study fashion, styling, designing, whatever it is that you want to do. And because that education never goes to waste, and it'll always teach you something. And after that, you know, take every single opportunity you get to work, you know, intern within your field, whatever it is that you want to do. You know, try and work, and don't think about the money in the beginning. You know, think more about, gaining the experience, learning the skills, because the skill set is the most important. And eventually that's what's going to pay you off, you know. Work with an expert for a bit, learn the ropes of the field, and then, you know, trust me, if you're good and you're hardworking and you're at the right place at the right time, you will make a mark. But there's zero replacement for hard work, you know, and eventually that's what pays off. And know that, you know, you can educate yourself and you can learn yourself. Today you have the resources of the internet and AI, and, you know, you have so much knowledge. You know, there are podcasts and there are books, and you can learn so much every day. You know, there are days and days and days where I'm lazy and I'm just watching a TV show and I'm chilling and I'm thinking of all the knowledge I could have got that day. You know, I'm always hungry for it. And but there are days where I just want to chill and I just want to talk shit with my friends and, you know, like just relax and do like silly things. But I feel like, there's an ocean of knowledge. And if you get all of it, and you know, I think time is the most valuable thing in the world right now, you know. So as young people, use that time, you know, to gain all that knowledge and experience. And I don't think there's no looking back if you do all of that.
Yeah, you
know,
think
you will
more
excel.
than just skill sets, your network will matter much more?
Yeah, of course your network matters. But, you know, if you work with someone who is doing amazing work, if you can get to work with someone who's doing amazing work, or even if you work with someone who's a new stylist, and you can grow, right? You can work with someone for like a year or two. You'll network with designers, you'll make friends, you can work with someone else, you know what I mean? So that's how you grow, you know. And then if you work with say it's a stylist, you know, and someone works with a stylist for like a few years, then, you know, they've formed their own network. They know designers now, you know, and then they make friends and they can style someone or they can style a campaign, and then that's how things then happen, you know. But I think working hard, manifesting, you know, having your affirmations, you know, gaining constant knowledge, working super hard. I don't think anything can stop you.
Yeah. You're quite spiritual, huh?
Yeah.
It helps.
I can be.
No, but thank you so much for coming in and sharing so much.
Thank you so much.